and welcome to Tiffany's Tiny Things. In today's video we are getting ready for Halloween and I am making a witch's cottage diorama, but in a box that's actually a book. You'll see. So no dolls this time, but it's kind of doll related. It's a doll's house. And this video is a part of a collaboration called Tricksters with Treats Halloween Fun and is hosted by The Secret Craft Room, Up All Night DIY, Shabby Meets Bling and Morina's Corner. To see all of the other amazing artists' videos, check out the playlist in the description box below the video. And today's video is sponsored by Sagan Film. Do you like scary movies? Then you should check out their films because they have a unique take on folklore and folk tales around the world. Check them out. Link in the description down below. So let's get started. So I bought this fake book at a local store quite a while ago and I knew I wanted to do something special with it. So, as you can see, it looks like a book, but it's a box inside, so you can hide things. But I want to do a witch's cottage, and I made a sketch on paper beforehand because, it's easier to plan out all the shelves and things that way. So, I'm basing it from this miniature fireplace I bought. I am going to plan out all the shelves around it. So I'm going to first start off with making the wall, and I tried to paint some popsicle sticks with some reddish brown, and I kind of like that color, so we are just going to cut a bunch of popsicle sticks like this and glue them on the back of this box. So let's start doing that. I bought this angle cutting thingy and let's put it to the test, and yeah, it works pretty well. I mean, it's kind of hard, but still. I place all the popsicle sticks out first before I glue, just to see how many I need and what lengths and stuff. So here you have all the sticks I need, and now we'll start gluing with some hot glue. To make the wood look like it's older and worn and stuff, I use these wood carving tools to make like carvings and stuff, and maybe I should have done this before I glued, but yeah, I thought of it afterwards, so that's why. I also glued the ceiling and the floor the same way off camera. Now I'll start just painting everything with very watered down acrylics, so it kind of looks like a wood tint. And I'll just do this. I'll continue with some black and brown and stuff to make it look like it's old. This is an old cabin. This witch has lived here for hundreds of years, so yeah. I use this balsa wood for the shelves, and yeah, with the grain it's really easy to cut with just a knife, but like across the grain I had to use a little saw because it's quite thick. With thinner it probably works with a knife. But yeah, I wanted thicker shelves, so that's why we are doing it like this. And I'm just sanding it a little bit to make it fit properly, and then I'll just figure out where I want all of the shelves. And later on I realized I made them too deep, so I just make them half as wide. So after trying out all the shelves with different items that I'm planning on adding, and as you see, they fit perfectly with this little fireplace. But the color of this fireplace is wrong, I think. It's too yellow. So I'm gonna try to match it with the wall and the shelves a little bit more. So I'll just try it out on the back here first where we can't see anything. And also I sanded it a bit beforehand so the paint actually sticks to it. I didn't sand it like a lot, just so you get a little bite. So yeah, regular acrylics. There. Then I'll paint all of the shelves in the same color scheme as the wall and the fireplace, so it all blends together nicely. So I figured I need to do all the lighting before I put in actual objects. So I'll try this method of making fire in the fireplace by using hot glue. Then I painted it in fiery colors like orange and red and yellow. I think it actually looks pretty good for my first attempt of making a fire. I also made these little candles using hot glue sticks that I drill a hole through so I can put the little wire through it. Then I just put some hot glue on top to make the flame. And here you see I have all the little LED wires that I pull through. Just try them out, see that they work. And as you see, I make the little flame just with some hot glue and yeah, looks good. I always try out every light with this battery before I put it in the diorama. So now that the fire in the fireplace, the paint has dried, we're gonna try out the little flashing LEDs, and I chose some reds and yellows for this. I'm just gonna glue in the fire in place and put it inside the box. And as you see, I removed this little railing to get better access to the fire, and now I'm just gluing it back again. So yeah, looks good. So now I'm just placing out all of the little candles and my lantern where I want them to be placed, and make a little marking in the back where I'm going to drill the hole for the wires. So yeah, I'm just using this Dremel and go to town with that. Yeah. So here you see I pulled all the wires through the little holes I made earlier, and yeah, I just connect them to battery packs. The flashing lights need a separate battery pack because they are flashing, and the other ones to one and the same. And then I just glue everything onto the back of the book, and as you see I made this kind of little box thingy that goes on top just to keep everything safe and secure. And I'll later paint this black so you won't see it as obviously, but you know, it's in the back, so it's okay. It's okay. Now to the actual items. She's a witch, so she needs a cat, obviously, a decapitated cat. I got this in one of those mini brand thingies, but I don't want it to have a hat, so after a few stabbings in my fingers, I successfully removed the little hat, and now we have just a cat that I'll paint black. And also we have this little miniature cauldron that I bought from Fimo, I think. But yeah, it's the wrong color, so I want the inside to be like a green soup instead of red. So we just do a base color of white first. Yeah, I'll do the cat at the same time here, just painting it all black because, you know, a witch's cat needs to be black, obviously. So I saw this tip on Pinterest, I think, on how to make plastic look like cast iron, and I just blend some glue with acrylics and baking soda, and it kind of makes this grainy texture, and I'll just paint it over the cauldron, a few layers, and yeah, it really looks good afterwards. And a little eye here in the soup, some good soup. Now we just paint the rest of the cat. So So I decided I want the cauldron to be hanging into the fire on kind of a wooden arm, so we need some little chains from it. So I just used this super glue and glue on the chains and put some baking soda so it really hardens fast. After that, we'll make the little arm thingy that's going to be in the fireplace. So I just use this balsa wood and cut it into pieces. I'm going to make it kind of a triangle arm thingy, as you see here. And then I paint it in the right colors according to the fireplace and glue it in place. Our witch needs a broom, of course, and I just found this stick in my backyard and I put it in the oven on 100 degrees for a while just to, kill off some, bugs. And then I painted in some brown, and then I decided it was too light, so I painted it with black. And when that's dried, and I also put a coat of glossy varnish on it just to make it look fancy, I take this dried up grass and make the broom part, like the brush part. So just glue it on there, and I use some string later to make it stick on there. This is going to be hanging on the wall, so the back of it doesn't really need to be fancy. And here you see I use some leather string or faux leather string. I don't know what it is. It looks like leather, and I just tie it on the broom in a fancy way that I imagine my witch would do it. I decided that the end of the broom needs to be kind of pointy in a cartoony fashion like this, so I just poured a lot of white glue on there and put a rubber band on it to keep it together. But we're not finished there. This broom needs some bling. Imagine this witch has been alive for a few centuries, I guess, and she needs some crystals and gemstones and amulets and whatnots to keep her safe, to keep the magic going. I don't know, imagine what a witch would need on her ride on the broomstick. And now it's done. I think it looks good. It looks, it looks real, I think. We are just going to mark out where we'll put her mounting hooks for the broom, because she needs easy access to her broom if she needs to use it. I just use regular little hooks for jewelry making, and I just kind of poke them in there, and you see, perfect. I do the same thing here with the Witcher's sword, of course, we need that. If you haven't figured it out yet, this diorama is inspired by many different things. It's like if Harry Potter, Disney, Evil Dead, Adventure Time, and Studio Ghibli, probably some other franchises also, all had a baby and birthed out this witch's cabin, I guess. Our witch needs a lot of potions and bottles and books and things, that needs printing. So I just found a bunch of these printable little etiquettes and posters and whatnots, books, and printed out in the correct size. I'm just eyeballing the scale of this. I printed out this little Ouija board and glued it on some wood here. And here's the thingy for the Ouija board. And here you see some book covers. We have Book of Shadows, the Enchiridion, we have the guide for the recently deceased, and some other interesting reading for our witch. I use some balsa wood, the thicker kind, to make the books, so you won't actually be able to open the books, but it doesn't matter. So I'm just gluing all of the book covers onto the little wooden books here. I finished the books with some Mod Podge to make them look a little bit shiny, and then they are finished. So here you have the little books, all done. And here you see a jar of frogs. You put the little label on there. And some skulls. Yeah, skulls of imp. We all need that. So, you know that disgusting book from Evil Dead, the Necronomicon? Yeah, this witch needs that book. So, what I did was I just took some paper tissue and put a lot of glue on it and just scrunched it all up to make this little face and let that dry, and then I painted it brownish, blackish, you know. So it's time to make the content of all of our little bottles that I actually bought from, Temu, AliExpress, Amazon. You can find these anywhere, I think. And this bottle is, of course, spider legs, because witches need that. And in this we'll put some mandrake root. Well, what I imagine it would look like, maybe. I just liked how this bottle looked, so I needed it for something. And yeah, mandrake root. And here we'll make some bottles with some Pegasus pills and unicorn horn. And of course, unicorn horn is just glitter, and the Pegasus pills are just some beads. Now it's time to make the potions and poisons. And yeah, I just take some UV resin and put some color in it and fill it up with all the different things. Like this bottle, for instance, is frog warts. Yeah, nice. And now let's make some frozen brains, of course. So I just put some skin-colored beads in there, and I think it looks convincing. And this is eyeballs, of course. And we need some unicorn blood as well. Now let's make some scrolls. I printed out some little miniature book texts, I guess. But I am going to roll this up, so we need both sides to be colored. And that's why I'm doing this. So just paint on some brownish, yellowish colors to make it look like old paper and let that dry. And then I used this toothpick to easier roll them up and put a little dab of glue just to keep them together. Then I put some string around a few of them, not all of them, because some of the scrolls might be current reading or something. So yeah, just mix it up a little. So here we have the collection of all the little things I printed and did books and stuff. So yeah, it's quite a little collection, but we are not done quite yet. We need some more items, but looks good so far. I went into the woods and picked some little leafy things that I think would look good as dried up herbs in our witch's cottage. So I actually just dried them in my oven and carefully put some string on them, and we are going to hang them up later. Now we are going to do the mandrake, and I'll start with making the little pot for the mandrake, and I just roll up some paper, and as you see I cut it up so we glue it back together in an angle so we get this pot shape, and then a smaller piece of paper to make the upper edge, that terracotta pots usually have, and just glue that on and wait for it to dry. And then I just glue it on a piece of paper so we get a bottom on. Yeah, when that's fully dry, I paint it in a terracotta-ish brown color and let that dry. And now it's time for sculpting. I'm using this Fimo clay to make some of the items in the cabin, and we'll start with making a poisonous apple. You know, like the one Snow White ate and kind of died, you know. So I make this green clay really, really thin and cut out the shape. It's kind of this skull shape if you look at the cartoon. And then I just drape it over the little apple in a drapey fashion. And of course it needs a little gloss on top. I don't know if this actually did anything. And of course we need the little apple stem. And it's Halloween after all, so we need some pumpkins. And of course we need a little mandrake for the pot we made earlier, and I just mixed a couple of brownish clays together to make this kind of gradient color. And yeah, I don't know exactly what it should look like, but I think it looks good, and it was actually easier than I thought to make it. And now I just make the leafy parts and put that in with some liquid clay on top. And off camera I also made a little ghost and a voodoo doll, and then I just baked everything in the oven. The little ghost glows in the dark and will be in this little jar if I can get it in there. So I'm just gonna paint some eyes on there and then just press it in. I also paint some details on the mandrake and on the pumpkins, and yeah, you know, just emphasize some of the colors and make it look a little bit aged. So let's put the mandrake in its pot. We need some soil, so that will be this paper tissue and a lot of glue. I just pour this fake moss on top so it looks like it's growing things, I guess. And also we need some moss on the outside of the pot as well. For the voodoo doll I do these stitches with just regular acrylics. And then I age it a bit with some dry pastels. And then I do the same thing with the pumpkins. Then I need some varnish. I want the pumpkins, the mandrake and the apple to be kind of glossy, so I just cover them in glossy varnish. And now we have gotten to my favorite part, and that is putting all of the items in their places. And I just put a little bit of glue on everything so they won't fall out, and yeah, just enjoying the process. And for some final touches, this witch has been living here for hundreds of years, so of course there are some moss growing in her cottage. So I just add a little bit of moss just for good measure. So now that we are done, it's time for some beauty shots. I really hope you enjoyed this collaboration, and please don't forget to check out all of the other artists' videos as well. You find the list in the description box below this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and don't forget to push the bell button so you don't miss my next video. And a big thank you to my Patreons. You are the best, and if you also would like to be one of my patrons, you find the link down in the box below the video. I'll see you next time. Bye!